your big fancy viewing experience that you're going to enjoy. How do you think your team will go in this one, Sarah? We've probably, like we can do now on the Tuesday recordings, talk a little bit about the squad, and yours is pretty screwed.
We've got an absolutely rubbish squad out because we've got no fit players. If I was anything but a Hull fan, I'd say probably Leeds by 18. But I'm a Hull fan, so I'm going to say Hull by 2.
So Reynolds and Lane, they picked up injuries on Sunday. They're out. Connor Wynn, he's a doubt, but he is named in the squad. Donnell McIntosh, he's missing his second game in a row. And you've still got the long injury list of Tumavarvi, Mao, Scott, Taylor, Hookham, and Gale, obviously, old Studsy Gale. Joe Cater comes back in. That's a positive because he was really good for you previous to his injury. So
way back then.
Do you think he can't play Shull on the wing again? You'd have to think. So maybe Vula Kajapani will get a go.
But I don't know. I don't. For all that, I don't necessarily understand Hodgson's decisions when it comes to player selection. I mean, I didn't understand Radford's either, but at least I always knew what they were going to be. Whereas it seems like Hodgson will do anything in his power not to move Connor from fullback, but he quite likes the idea of playing Shaw as well, which Shaw just hasn't got the positional awareness to wing. And, we've got an out-and-out winger in Mitch, who really it'd be so much better if he had played on Sunday. So I'd like to think that he'd get the start.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Lovadua would get the start as well, but whether either of those two things will happen is not for me to
Houghton or Johnston are options for filling in the halves, aren't they, with McNamara? Assuming if Wynn's fit, he'll keep him in the centres and not try and maybe think about him as a standoff option. So, but there's a few young kids as well in there. Like, I had to ask you who Severs and Barron are because I've never heard of them. Aidan Burrell, he had a couple of games last year, didn't he? He's in the squad as well. So it is a youthful looking squad with questions about over a number of positions, both through injury and form, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think Reynolds was probably injured going into the Castleford match. He had a heck of a lot of strapping all the way down his arm.
Right.
And so, that gamble obviously didn't pay off. And then Wynn looked to be in considerable pain. Hodgson's initial thing was that he thought it was a subluxed elbow. So I don't know what you're looking at for that in terms of timeout, but...
Yeah, Leeds aren't without their problems as well, though, Sarah. Cruz Leemans and Cam Smith, they're suspended. They've been very good for Leeds so far this year. Harry Newman, someone dunked him in the tee one too many times in his first game back. He's out with a hamstring injury. So they've got some question marks to fill as well. They've got a few guys coming back in, though. James Donaldson and Alex Mellor come back in, as well as a host of young players who probably will fill in as well. Leeming's a loss for them, but Dwyer's a proven Super League player, so maybe spelled by Corey Johnson or Jared O'Connor, what you'd expect to see there. So they lose a bit, don't they, but not loads, and it just gives Caesar and Austin a chance to stand up a bit more. I will do what you said everyone who doesn't support Hull FC will do. I'll go Leeds by 4.
Okay, I've gone for more, but yeah.
Well, I still think they're missing a key player there in the captain.
What are your thoughts on Wakefield and Sluice? Which side of the coin toss are you?
Having watched that game last week that they played against Wigan, seeing them improving, I don't think they picked up any injury concerns that I'm aware of. I'm going to go Toulouse to learn their lessons and win by 1.
That was exactly my thoughts. They'll have learned how to set up for a drop goal. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it there.
Toulouse by 1 it is, yeah. Obviously, Wakefield have had a few problems, certainly in their centres. That's still going to be a problem for them. Miller missing is the main reason, I think, why I've gone the way I've gone.
Yeah.
Another game that I think is tough to call, two sides that are evenly matched, I think, on the early running this season, is Salford Hull KR. That's on Friday at 7:45. A string of different kickoff times on Friday night, but we'll be able to keep up with what's going on. What do you reckon? Do you think the Robins will bounce back, or do you think Salford will find the groove again?
It's a really hard one to call again, isn't it? Yeah. Surely Salford must have hit the lowest now, only scoring 2. But then Sneed is a confidence player, and I'm going to go Rovers by 6.
Oh, yeah.
You watch them mess it up for me.
Well, I've gone Hull KR as well. What I was thinking was the distraction of Taxi Rangi has gone from the team, and I don't think that's a negative for them. I think that's something they can galvanise around, because he probably was a negative distraction last week, and I don't think he's been playing that well either, if I'm completely honest, this year at all. I remember in the Wigan game he threw about 3 or 4 balls into touch rather than to his winger, and I think other than that, Hull KR will be at reasonable strength. The only question mark is that fullback position. Coop probably won't be there, will he? Dagger needs to perform the way he performed the back end of last year. I think he's capable of that. And so I think, on balance, Hull KR should be slightly better. I trust their pack a little bit more for consistency over the game as well. Hull KR by 10 I'm going with, but that's one that I'm not 100% confident on, as I'm not on the 2 that we've spoke about before. The next one I'm fairly confident, but this probably means it's the one that's going to go tits up for us, Sarah. St Helens versus Warrington. This is the 8 p.m. kickoff on Sky on Friday night. Can Warrington do anything but lose here?
Well, you see, after how boldly you and Al spoke last week about Warrington being able to beat Catalans, but I think I'm going to have to stick with Saints.
Yeah, because that relied on Warrington turning up, and it turns out they didn't, whereas Saints have been, haven't they? And
yeah,
I can't think of a point this year where it's not going to be how many, until some serious injury happens, either in the spine where they've not got great depth, or Alex Walmsley, because he's such a difference maker. Then yeah, I'm going by 8. Saints by 8.
Huddersfield against Castleford. Now, this is our 2 teams to mess up every prediction.
It is. Yeah, last year's coupon buster versus this year's coupon buster.
I am going to go for Huddersfield.
Cass found some form, didn't they, to an extent, but defensively there's still question marks, and Huddersfield look really good this year. They look like Watson's got through now to the team, so it's got to be Huddersfield. I'm going Huddersfield by 14. This one's on Sky on Saturday afternoon, so one for us all to enjoy on the TV.
Yeah, my thinking is, last week was Castleford's cup final against us,
or at least Lee Radford's.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I'm going Huddersfield.
And then 5:30 p.m. on Sky Saturday, Catalans versus Wigan. Wigan will be bringing back in, I would suspect, Tommy Luluai. maybe Willie Isa. I'm not sure if Sam Powell was an injury concern because he was taken off at half time in that game and never came back on, which is not normal for Sam Powell. So I think Joe Shorrock did enough to earn a place still in that squad though, so possibly Partington to drop out for Wigan, but no, unless as long as Powell's okay, there's no major injury concerns for Wigan. Catalans are going to be starting to get some of their suspended players back, aren't they? McAlorum will be back. I don't know what Tompkins' injury situation is, but I'm expecting him to be back. And who got the lesser ban, Dudson or Napper? Whichever one got the lesser ban, they'll be back. Napper, I think it was. So I think it's a tough one.
Yeah, I guess it's less tough for you.
Well, I'm going Wigan. Wigan by 8. I think Tommy back in the side will give us that organisation we need a bit better, that calming influence a bit better. Cust will get to move back to the left, where he's a bit more comfortable for the majority of the game, and then he can pop up where he wants to a bit off the back of that, because Tommy will be kind of controlling it for him. Yeah. Wigan by 8 for me.
Okay, I'm going to go Catalans by 6 then.
Yeah, I think it's a very even round of fixtures, isn't it?
I mean, having said that, it'll probably end up being the week with the biggest
blowouts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It does feel like the closest round. Like an even round, yeah.
Yeah, well, going into it, certainly the guesses that we're making, I felt I could have tossed a coin and been happy with whichever way the coin came up, kind of thing. Yeah. Loads of Challenge Cup games on the TV this week, and we mentioned the Women's Challenge Cup game on BBC online at 2 o'clock, but in the Men's Challenge Cup there's 4 televised games from this round of the Challenge Cup, Sarah. North Wales versus Sheffield, our last chance of a League One team getting through to face Super League opposition. That's Saturday at 1:30pm. That's on our league. Barrow versus Workington. That's Sunday at 1pm. That's on BBC Online. So obviously they're setting up the day before in Barrow and staying. Batley versus Featherstone. You never know, Batley. They could throw an upset. That's on the Sportsman, Sunday at 3pm. And then the Monday night game is the big ticket one. Bradford versus Leigh, 7:45 on Premier Sports.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get any...
referees meeting for half of that.
Sorry?
I'll be at a referees meeting for half of that.
Do you think that by the time you can catch it in the second half, it'll be all over?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. The other cup game is Whitehaven versus York. That's the one that's not been picked for telly. There is, like we say, a load of Women's Challenge Cup games and wheelchair Super League games that you can have a look out for on your team's own pages and see if you can get to any of the fixtures over Saturday or Sunday as well. But any rugby league you do watch, whether it's one of those games that's on TV or one of the other games that happens, and heck, even if you give us an opinion on the NRL that makes sense, we'll read it out, we'll tell you the results. I don't know that we'll do much more than that this year, because that's the decision we've made. But yeah, all that to tell us about on the Google form for fan views for next week's games. Shall we move on to the wrap-up, Sarah?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, you've got a quiz for me, Sarah. I don't know if you've prepared it or if your dad has. If your dad has, I'm expecting something salty.
Well, to be fair, my quiz setter nearly failed me today, but he came through strong at the last minute.
Excellent stuff.
He's given me far more than 3 questions.
He does know the format, doesn't he?
I don't know that he's ever listened to the show.
He did, because he called us up on the England squad stuff.
Yeah, I know, he does really. I think he just gets a bit carried away.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how good they are, and if I want more after the starters, we'll dig in. Okay,
so this is a quiz. You know, we like to talk about who has the most fans and everything else. So up to the end of the 2019 season, this is so pre-pandemic, really. So firstly, put the average crowd. So there are